Song Kai couldn't blame himself for feeling this way. After all, before this, the only 2 times he had faced a 4th rank unit, they had both been somewhat weakened 4th rank lifeforms. And even then, they had forced him to use all the tricks at his disposal. To now so easily defeat a 4th rank lifeform, one enhanced by the rules of a 4th rank floating land origin and with combat power nearing the peak of the 4th rank, it was understandable for him to feel as if he were dreaming. Of course, the ease with which he had killed this 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe member was due not only to the fact that it had already been injured under Song Bei's Northern, but most crucially to the strand of green light activated by the Northern. Secondly, it was the mixed hollow extreme Yang sword intent divine light, and the all-outlaw attack from the 4th rank Void Demon. The green light momentarily bound the 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe member, allowing the 2 powerful attacks Song Kai had unleashed to be maximally effective. It definitely deserved the credit for the primary achievement. As to what component's ability had triggered that strand of green light, Song Kai had all kinds of guesses, but he could not confirm anything. However, one thing was certain: the component that had provoked this green light was most likely an orange quality component enhanced to the 4th rank. A typical purple component, even if strengthened to the 4th rank, would hardly affect a 4th rank lifeform blessed with the rules of a 4th rank floating land origin core. Only a component of notable status could achieve that. Well, in that case, there were at least 4 orange components on that Northern. As his gaze shifted, the Northern closed in, bringing the pensive Song Kai back to reality. When he answered the communication request coming from the other flagship, he heard Song Bei proactively extend his thanks. "Many thanks, brother of the Kai clan, for your assistance. I truly cannot express enough gratitude for today's favor." Song Kai nodded faintly, engaging in a cheerful exchange with the other side while simultaneously operating the proportional scaling instrument on his warship. Once the corpse of the 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe had been reduced to around 20 meters, he unhesitatingly pulled it into his warship. Although the other side had greatly contributed to the killing of this 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe member, in the end, it involved a 4th rank Blood Bodhi and a drop of 4th rank biological origin blood. Song Kai had no intention of sharing them. In the final analysis, it was he who had taken the initiative to save the other side, and even if they had some cards to ensure their survival, even if he hadn't taken action, they could have escaped unscathed. However, the buffer time required for such methods was bound to be significant, and being able to keep them was certainly advantageous. Furthermore, even if the other side had life-saving measures, these had nothing to do with the slaying of the 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe member. Regardless, the corpse of this 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe reasonably belonged to him. As he watched the corpse of the Blood Bodhi tribe member gradually being pulled into the Kang Chong, Song Bei's eyes did not betray much regret, but rather he seemed more intrigued by the component on Kang Chong that could infinitely scale the corpse. In response, Song Kai gave him a brief overview of the proportional scaling instrument component, after which the engine of Kang Chong roared back to life, indicating an intention to depart. This action seemed to prompt Song Bei to make up his mind, as he took the initiative to ask him to stay. "Brother of the Kai clan, wait a moment." Song Kai was curious, but he also came to a halt, willing to hear out what his clan junior, who was also deeply hidden, had to say. This Song Bei was several months younger than him, and the awakening of his seed of torch had also been slightly later. In less than 3 years, the configuration of his warship had become impressive, and Song Kai was very curious about him. Seeing that the Kang Chong had stopped, Song Bei quickly organized his thoughts and then said succinctly, "Brother of the Kai clan, would you be interested in taking a tour of this 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe's territory?" Song Kai raised an eyebrow. The territory mentioned by the other side reminded him of the ignorant self-proclamations of these 4th rank Blood Bodhi tribe members on the floating land, and a scornful sneer flashed in his eyes. He had almost forgotten that these beings calling themselves gods of the Blood Bodhi tribe, each ruled over a divine spirit nation. Even though he had always approached the revelation with ridicule, thinking, mere 4th rank, daring to call themselves gods, The fact was that a fourth-rank lifeform's nation held great attraction for him. These beings did not have items or abilities like storage spaces or mustard seed spaces. Generally, all their possessions would be kept within their own nation. A nation? Are you certain there's not a second fourth-rank Blood Bodhi tribe member there? Deep down, Song Kai had already made up his mind. Even if there was another fourth-rank Blood Bodhi tribe member, as long as there were not more than two, he was confident he could rely on the Kang Chong to leave unharmed. Naturally, he had to go and see. He was indeed in need of third rank as well as fourth rank floating land origins, along with various other resources. However, information about this divine spirit nation still needed to be confirmed. The response from Song Bei came swiftly. There are only 3 fourth-rank Blood Bodhi tribe members in this Blood Eastern region, 2 of whom have joined forces to found the Blood Eastern Divine Nation. This one is not a god of that Blood Eastern Divine Nation. Upon hearing this, Song Kai fully understood. This fourth-rank Blood Bodhi tribe member was the only lone wanderer among the 3 in the Blood East realm. If that's the case, then let's go have a look at the so-called nation of the god of the Blood Bodhi. The member of the fourth-rank Blood Bodhi tribe that Song Kai and his companion had killed was named T1, whose nation was located in the northern part of the Blood East realm, encompassing only about 1/10 of the realm and quite distant from the Blood Eastern Divine Nation. Even so, both Song Kai and Song Bei had great expectations. According to their knowledge, the T1 Divine Spirit had already transcended into the Divine Realm for over 1,000 years and had established his domain for 800 years. The accumulated wealth of a peak fourth-rank creature over a millennium had naturally aroused the envy of the 2 second-rank torch ship captains. The speed of the 2 escort ships was not slow, and since they were departing in a few days, they wasted no time and activated their spatial jump components immediately. With the only fourth-rank unit dead at their hands, they had no further reservations. Their jump point was directly above the divine capital of T1 country. As the divine capital of a Blood Bodhi divine spirit's domain, the Blood Bodhi tribe of T1 divine capital numbered over 100 million, which was truly frightening. Seeing this, Song Kai did not hesitate to summon the void demons attached with brainwave imprints, as well as 35 Void Assassin Clan soldier figurines, and commenced a hunt in the massive city below, followed closely by hundreds of humanoid alien races. After completing these tasks, he quickly rushed into the T1 Divine Palace together with Northern. As one of the rare divine spirits of the Blood Bodhi floating land, T1 had built a palace of extreme magnificence for himself. Its size was one aspect. What was key were the numerous trusted aides inside that quickly became alert as the 2 warships entered. Among them were existences at the 3rd rank level, and under the enhancement of the floating land origin rules, these trusted aides all possessed the combat power of half-step 4th rank. Although they couldn't pose any fatal threat to the 2 warships, they significantly delayed the duo's exploration of this vast divine palace. Out of necessity, Song Kai had no choice but to recall the void demons. Even though the battleship main cannons could easily kill these half-step 4th rank trusted aides, they could not match the speed of the void demons that could appear and disappear without a trace. With the help of the void demons, the 2 escort ships advanced towards the depths of the divine palace. Outside a sealed vault made of an unknown metal, Song Kai and Song Bei exchanged glances. The next second, both escort ships backed up a certain distance and, once they reached a safe position, the main cannons of both warships fired simultaneously, unleashing their power at the vault's door, which looked quite extraordinary. This unknown metal was extremely hard, and lacking a specific method to open the vault, Song Bei took the initiative to enslave a 3rd rank trusted aide, only to learn that only T1 himself could freely enter and exit the vault. Hence, they had no choice but to resort to this most primitive method. In front of 2 orange main cannons enhanced to 4th rank, no matter how high the metal's hardness was, after several hours it could only be blasted open. Once they had ensured the gap was sufficiently large, Kang Chong and Northern ceased their attack. 2 Void Assassin Clan soldier figurines and the Gargoyle soldier figurines summoned by Song Bei rushed into the breach, one after another. After ensuring there was no danger inside, the 2 warships entered through the gap. It really is a divine palace treasury. Looking at the neatly arranged array of countless items, Song Kai and his companion had varying expressions on their faces. The collection of a 1,000-year-old peak 4th rank creature, combined with the buff of ruling a nearly billion-mile expanse of divine country, meant that the treasury contained an incalculable number of various items and resources. At a glance, Song Kai felt dazzled by what he saw. 1,000-year-old vermilion fruits, 10,000-year-old wood spirits, 100,000-year-old thunderstruck wood, mercury crystals, metal essences, floating land origin, and all qualities of starry sea oddities, and so on. Although most of them were of no use to the torch warships, even the small portion of mineral resources, floating land origin, and starry sea oddities were astonishingly valuable. They were even fortunate enough to find a small stash of titanium crystals, and although there were only slightly more than 2,000 pieces, it was definitely a pleasant surprise. As for the floating land origin, the low-rank ones such as 0 rank, 1st rank, and 2nd rank didn't need much mention. There were millions of strands. However, where the duo's gaze truly converged was on the 3rd rank and 4th rank floating land originsa. There were astonishingly over 10,000 strands of the 3rd rank floating land origin, and even if the 4th rank floating land origin only amounted to several hundred strands, they also found 20 strands of the 5th rank floating land origin. Upon seeing these 5th rank floating land origins, both of them were stunned for a brief moment before quickly regaining composure. The Blood Bodhi floating land beneath our feet is indeed a 4th rank starry sea floating land, so it's not surprising that it occasionally produces some 5th rank floating land origin. Besides the floating land origin, the other most eye-catching treasures are the hundreds of starry sea oddities, emitting glows of various colors. The 2 of them quickly took inventory, finding a total of 402 starry sea oddities, 362 white oddities, 35 blue oddities, 4 purple oddities, and, lastly, 1 orange glory quality strange object. Unfortunately, nearly 100 of these oddities could not be converted into warship components, including 2 out of the 4 purple relics. The good news was that the sole orange oddity was convertible, and it happened to be a piece of warship armor that was far from weak. Upon seeing the warship armor, Song Bei from the northern cast a covetous glance, though the 2 had no intention of divvying up the loot on the spot. Instead they were in a hurry to transport the treasures from this treasury. There was actually one more surprise, which was that this divine palace treasury was also piled high with a vast quantity of blood bodies, amounting to well over 10 million. Though more than 80% of them were 0 rank or 1st rank blood bodies, the number of 2nd rank and 3rd rank blood bodies still exceeded 2 million. For Song Kai and his companion, this was undoubtedly a massive fortune, exciting them greatly. Apart from what they had to submit for their mission on the leaderboard, the surplus blood bodies could be actively exchanged for family merit points. Such a large quantity of blood bodies would surely provide them with a staggering number of merit points. Aboard the Northern, Song Bei's eyes were filled with resignation. Although his flagship was already loaded with a space expansion component of not low quality, it paled in comparison to the vast resources in the astonishingly spacious Divine Palace treasury. Before long, the Northern was completely filled to capacity and could no longer fit anything else, leaving no choice but to watch the continuous work of loading vehicles on the Kang Chong. About 2 days later, just when he had become somewhat numb to the situation, the resources in the entire treasury had finally been completely moved out. In the communication projection, Song Bei quietly asked, "Kai Clan brother, if I may ask, just how large is the storage space on your warship?" Song Kai shook his head and smiled without saying a word. In fact, not even a third of the space in the cultivation secret realm was filled, but he certainly couldn't reveal that his warship harbored a secret realm space of its own, could he? What he didn't know was that, from an angle he couldn't perceive, an ancient voice had already begun speaking into Song Bei's ear on its own accord. He, I suspect that your clan brother's warship might be connected to a secret realm space. Otherwise, even if equipped with 2 orange quality space expansion components, both enhanced to 4th rank, it would be impossible to have such a vast space, especially since it's just an escort ship. Young Bei, if I were you, I'd cling tightly to this big shot's leg. Your clan brother's fortunes are probably beyond imagination. Putting aside everything happening on the northern, after emptying the Divine Palace treasury, the two meticulously searched the T1 Divine Palace once more. After confirming that most of the good items had been scavenged, they finally left the Divine Palace and began the slaughter of T1 Divine Capital. After all, it was a divine capital with over 100 million of the Blood Bodhi tribe. Even though a great chaos had occurred 2 days ago, many Blood Bodhis of 1st rank and above were still lingering in the divine capital, and Song Kai and his companions certainly would not miss this excellent hunting opportunity. These were walking family merit points. Time passed quickly, and before they could finish clearing out the qualified Blood Bodhis, they had to stop their actions as the time for their return had arrived. The 30 days were up, and if they didn't leave soon, once the crack in the floating land shield closed, they would have to wait for the next time the Heavenly Wilderness Tribe Elder actively engaged the location component's ability to leave, and no one knew when that would be. 2 escort ships raced towards the Vault of Heaven, and to save time, Song Kai and his partner had activated their spatial jump devices one after another in order to reach the fissure at the end of the vault as quickly as possible. As for the distribution of the treasures from the Divine Palace's treasury, neither of them had brought it up, or rather, they hadn't brought it up yet. There would be plenty of time for that later. The most pressing issue at hand was all the problems related to the sequence struggle. By the time the 2 escort ships burst out of the fissure, nearly 30 warships had already gathered outside the floating land shield, with the Song family and the Earl Golden Lion family each commanding around a dozen. Before the two could return to their fleet, Clan Elder Song Tianmang's voice already came from aboard the Shocking Wave Scarlet Menace, a Zhulu warship. Come over here and hand over the Blood Bodhis first. The exact amount to be handed over will be at your discretion, but if you don't make it into the top 10. Clan Elder Tianmang didn't finish his sentence, but it was this very ambiguity that made all the clansmen hesitating about how much of their Blood Bodhis to surrender. In their indecision, most eventually handed over all the Blood Bodhis they had, gambling on securing one of those 10 coveted spots. The reasons for this stemmed from past sequence struggles. In many previous sequence tasks, the rules for handing over Blood Bodhis had fluctuated. Sometimes there were opportunities for a second handover to finalize overall rankings, and other times there was only this one chance. If the amount handed over in this first round didn't get someone into the required rankings, they would be automatically eliminated. Thus, many clansmen were left second-guessing their moves. However, this did not include Song Kai, who promptly took out 2 million first, second, and third-rank Blood Bodhis. With such an amount, securing a top 10 position was guaranteed. Following him, Song Bei also handed over 2 million Blood Bodhis. Naturally, Song Bei had not obtained that many himself but had earlier taken about 400,000 from the Divine Palace treasury's yield. During the subsequent division of the spoils, these 400,000 would naturally be accounted for. Dozens of minutes later, the crack in the shield of the Blood Bodhi floating land below sealed completely. The Song family came out intact with 18 members, while the Earl Golden Lion's side, surprisingly, only had 18 torch warships returning. This meant the other 2 were either dead within the Blood Bodhi floating land or had failed to make it back due to accidents. In response, the Philip clan members' expressions looked rather unpleasant, as this development made the disparity between the 2 families immediately apparent. The Song family members didn't inquire further into this matter, for fear that it might be seen as taking pleasure in the misfortune of others. Everyone quietly waited for the results from Clan Elder Tianmang. Patriarch Song Xuanchang had quickly left after delivering them to their destination a month prior, and now the first phase of the sequence struggle was entirely in the hands of Song Tianmang. Clan Elder Tianmang wasn't the type to dawdle. Soon, he announced the results one by one. There were no surprises for Song Chi's side. Having handed over 2 million blood bodies of all ranks, he was ranked 7th in this mission, with Song Bei right behind him in 8th place. Others, such as Song Zi and Song Gang, also successfully made it into the top 10, with Song Zi in 3rd place and Song Gang taking the lead with 5 million blood bodies. Once the results were announced, the 18 family members were a mix of joy and worry. Those who made it into the top 10 were especially excited, while those who didn't regretted holding back out of greed. Shortly after, the two clansmen ranked 11th and 12th respectfully asked clan elder Tianmeng. "Elder Tianmeng, is there a chance for a second handover?" As soon as this question was raised, the expression of the clansman ranked 10th tightened. He was barely in 10th place with little difference from those behind him. Yes. Because of this one word, the ranking changed slightly once again. 2 minutes later, the original 10th place had been pushed out, replaced by the clansman who had been in 12th place. Song Kai and the others were unaffected though. With the 10 spots now firmly decided, Clan Elder Tianmeng's voice rose to address everyone. "All right, that concludes the first phase of the struggle for sequence. Those who made it into the top 10, prepare for the next stage of the task. As for the 8 of you who weren't selected, don't be disheartened. Your standing in the family won't be any less esteemed. Remember, I myself was once a step away from a sequence position in the family." The crowd had varying expressions, and as some prepared to inquire further about the second phase of the sequence struggle, they received only a terse reply from Clan Elder Tianmeng. "You'll find out when you return to the family tomorrow." The family's actions were swift. Having just emerged from the Blood Bodhi floating land, 18 of them had already boarded the return transfer warship the very next day. Dragon Spine's Sacred Mountain, Clan Ancestral Hall. Of the 18 from a month before, now only 10 remained. Standing in front of Song Kai and the others, a long projection screen was displaying information, and as they scanned the entire screen, expressions of solemnity and concern surfaced on every face. Evil Buddha Continent, Evil Buddha Clan, Fallen, Evil Spirits, Level 7 Life Form Floating Land. The key information from the projection kept echoing in Song Chi's mind, and his face was no better off. Considering the current combat power of the Kongchong, he had thought that a sequence position would be easily within reach, but now it seemed he had been too optimistic. Facing a level 7 lifeform star sea floating land wasn't merely a challenge for the current Kongchong. Even if it advanced to 4th rank in the future, he would still lack confidence in guaranteeing absolute safety. The Patriarch, Song Xuanchong, now in projection form, watched the reactions of the 10 people below from above in the Great Hall and spoke softly to explain. "There's no need to worry. The target of your second rank phase mission is just an extremely remote state on the Evil Buddha Continent. The Buddhist sect's influence there is limited, and you won't encounter any evil fallen or evil spirits above the 5th rank." At this point, Song Xuanchong paused, then continued to say, "Of course, if anyone becomes complacent because of this and later falls prey to the evil fallen as blood food or becomes a fetus of the evil Buddha, don't expect the family to come to your rescue. After all, on the Evil Buddha Continent, our Song family is nothing more than a slightly larger ant." Hearing these suddenly chilling words, the hearts of the 10 members of the Song Kai group tightened, and the slight relaxation they had just felt was once again strained. However, Song Xuanchang's tone softened again at this point. "All right. You have 1 week to make subsequent preparations. You will officially head to the Evil Buddha Continent in 7 days. You may now leave. Oh, and one more reminder: the Evil Buddha Clan, Evil Fallen, and Evil Spirits are all extremely adept at capabilities such as mental contamination and spiritual seduction. Remember to equip a component to protect the mind on the flagship." All 10 nodded in agreement. There was no need for Song Xuanchong to emphasize this. After reviewing the basic information about the Evil Buddha Continent, everyone was aware of this point. They would all make targeted preparations during the next 7 days. The group of 10 left the clan ancestral hall one after another and the warship summoning room excavated beneath Dragon Spine's Sacred Mountain by the family. Unlike the other 8 who hurriedly left, Song Kai and Song Bei rented a warship summoning room as their first move and began the division of spoils. The first to be distributed were the floating land origins of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ranks. There was not much to say about this. The two of them simply divided it equally. Song Chi's share consisted of 5,000 strands of 3rd rank floating land origin, 200 strands of 4th rank, and 10 strands of 5th rank floating land origin. The 0, 1st, and 2nd rank floating land origins combined totaled over 1,000,000 strands. After the floating land origins came the Starry Sea oddities, before which Song Bei proactively spoke up. "Brother Kai Clan, I wonder if you have any need for this orange quality warship armor?" Song Chi's eyes flashed, but ultimately, he shook his head truthfully. Seeing this, the joy in Song Bei's eyes intensified, while Song Kai, knowing what he was thinking, was the first to propose a distribution method he had been contemplating for a long time. "Cousin, how about this? I'll take all the strange objects that cannot be converted into shipboard components and the herbs and spirit fruits that torch ship captains generally don't need. If you agree, this orange quality warship armor is yours, and we'll split everything else equally, including the titanium crystals, blood bodies, and mineral resources." Song Bei pondered for a moment but didn't dwell on it for long. He nodded his head directly in agreement. Of course, Song Kai was immensely pleased by this. To trade one piece of orange-quality warship armor for over 100 Starry Sea oddities, along with Millennium Zoo fruit, Thunderstruck wood of 100,000 years, and Wanian wood spirit flowers, such a trade would be considered equal at best by other torch ship captains, but for someone with access to the Zutian ruins market like him, this was an extremely profitable exchange. Not to mention anything else, just that batch of 100,000-year-old Thunderstruck wood alone would be extremely valuable on Zhou Ping's primordial continent. Song Kai estimated that just this Thunderstruck wood might be enough to exchange for an orange-quality Starry Sea oddity from the Luofu sword sect. As for cultivators, Thunderstruck wood has always been a superior material for artifact refining, let alone a 100,000-year-old specimen. Thus, aside from the Thunderstruck wood, the rest of the items were essentially a clear profit for him personally. Not to mention the 2 purple relics that could be exchanged for other purple components, the Millennium Zoo fruit and Wanian wood spirit flowers were also highly coveted items on the primordial continent. After distributing these miscellaneous items, the division of things like blood bodies, titanium crystals, and mineral resources was much simpler. All were divided equally according to principle. Of course, Song Kai received an extra 400,000 blood bodies since the other party had already taken an equivalent amount in advance. Once the entire distribution was completed, Song Bei's smiling face could hardly be concealed. The resources he received from this division constituted an astonishing harvest for him. Not only did it fill the final gap in the defenses of the northern, but the variety of resources was also exceptionally plentiful. After parting ways, Song Kai headed straight for the family merit hall. He had left behind 1,000,000 blood bodies, also keeping the 4th rank blood body in his hand, while the other 5,000,000, he intended to hand them all over to the family for exchanging into family merit points. At present, the 10th direct vein had only tens of thousands of clan members, the vast majority of whom were those ordinary people who had not yet awakened, practically without any use for blood bodies. Keeping 1,000,000 on hand, along with subsequent distributions from the family, would be enough for use within the pulse for a long time. On the 31st floor of the Merit Tower, once Song Kai took out the mountain-like pile of blood bodies, all the clan members on this floor almost completely fell into a stupor. After nearly 10 minutes, the clan member in charge of merit exchanges finished the count. After the count, 3rd rank blood bodies 432, 2nd rank blood bodies 10,800, 1st rank blood bodies 410,000, 0th rank blood bodies 4,700,000, which can be exchanged for merit points of. Without waiting for the other party to finish, Song Kai raised his hand to interrupt them. "May I ask if these merit points can be exchanged for golden merit?" Faced with this request, the clan member showed a troubled expression, first scratching their head and then apologetically said, "I'm sorry, I need to ask for instructions from above." Song Kai shook his head, indicating he had no objections. With such a number of blood bodies, if they were all exchanged for ordinary merit points, it would start at the very least with tens of millions, but what use would he have for so many ordinary merits? Unless he was willing to deposit them all into the communal account of the Pulse, but even though he was willing to help out the Vane, he wasn't playing that game. Holding the Zutian Ruins market in his hand, he had considerable assets, but he wasn't about to play the role of a scatterbrained benefactor. Soon, a reply came from behind the exchange counter. "Young clansman, the upper management has given 2 options. You can choose one of them. First, 300 golden merit points plus 10 million ordinary merit points. Second, 200 golden merit points plus 100 lawstones plus 20 strands of 4th rank floating land origin plus 1,000 titanium crystals." Between these 2 options, Song Kai had no need to hesitate and directly chose the second one. As for ordinary merit points, the Vane still owed him 1 million points. Another 10 million points, what could he do with them? Wouldn't they just collect dust in the account? Soon, Song Chi's account received 200 golden merit points, and at the same time, he also got his hands on 100 lawstones, 20 strands of 4th rank floating land origin, and 1,000 titanium crystals. Calculating carefully, adding to the gains previously secured from the Divine Palace treasury, at this moment he had in his possession over 5,000 strands of 3rd rank floating land origin, 220 strands of 4th rank floating land origin, 10 strands of 5th rank, along with 100 lawstones and 2,000 titanium crystals. It was indeed a huge and fulfilling profit. Song Kai sighed, and it was only now that he had truly comprehended the profound truth behind the saying, "Murder and arson give you a golden belt." This gain was probably worth his usual years of total income. Of course, this excluded occurrences like the neutron star core armor, appearing in the Zutian Ruins market, or a high-rank Starry Sea oddity, as well as not taking into account what he had obtained from that supergiant Tri-Eye race flagship. "This time I can do another round of major enhancements." Thinking thus, Song Kai forcibly suppressed the impulse to enhance on the spot, and stepped towards the upper floors of the Merit Tower. Compared to strengthening components of the Kang Chong, what's more important right now is to quickly obtain a high-quality spiritual protection component, or if that's not possible, an abnormal status purifier would also do. As for the constant state purifier, its quality was too low, and although it had long been enhanced to the limit of LV39, Evil Buddha Continent being a 7th grade Starry Sea floating land, at this level of floating land, a blue component really couldn't give Song Kai a bit of security. Song Chi's goal was very clear, the Merit Tower above the 60th floor. Prior to this, he had already roamed the 1st through the 60th floors of the Merit Tower numerous times, and hadn't come across any spiritual protection components of purple quality or higher, nor had he seen any components for purifying negative statuses. Originally, he had thought that this was due to the impact of the previous Soul Spirit floating land expedition, but now that he understood the relevant information about the Evil Buddha Continent, he realized that things were not so simple. Because of this, he actually didn't hold much hope for the levels above the 60th floor of the Merit Tower. The resources held by a level 7 life-type floating land were unimaginable, and it was needless to say how the clan elders felt about such a floating land. After all, if they could gain even a little from it, they might be able to use it to help their flagship reach the level of a 5th-rank battleship in one fell swoop. Based on this, the components related to spiritual protection in the clan were almost certainly already exchanged, making it unlikely that any were still in stock. On his way to the 60th floor of the Merit Tower, just as he had seen before, there were no components related to spiritual protection on the entire 1st through the 60th floors. With a trace of trepidation, Song Kai stepped onto the 61st floor, which required 150 golden merit points to access, an amount his account could just satisfy. Walking into the 61st floor and scanning around, a trace of clear surprise flashed in his eyes. Compared to the slightly smaller 51st to 60th floors, The 61st floor obviously had signs of spatial folding technology, with a much larger area and far more exchange counters than expected. As he checked around, he quickly had a realization. Item name: Vampire Marquis Primordial Blood. Exchange price: 100 golden merit points. Item name: Golden Armored Giant Beast Primordial Blood. Exchange price: 120 golden merit points. Item name: Vampire Duke Primordial Blood. Exchange price: 1500 golden merit points. Most of the items in these counters were primordial blood from 4th rank or even 5th rank creatures, and Song Kai even saw the primordial blood of that golden armored giant beast. However, these sources of primordial blood, which had a strong attraction for other torch ship captains, were of no interest to him, except for a brief examination at the counter with the Vampire Duke primordial blood of the 5th rank level. Besides these primordial blood, Song Kai also saw a law crystal of the wood attribute, the lowest kind, and other components of orange and red quality, mostly main cannons and energy shields, which were of no use to Kang Chong. With a furrowed brow, Song Kai had an ominous feeling in his heart. And indeed, his sixth sense was not wrong, as he browsed all the way to the 69th floor and still found no components related to spiritual protection. Holding onto his last bit of hope, he stepped onto the 70th floor of the Merit Tower. 2 minutes later, as expected, there were still no spiritual protection components, but this time there was a slight gain. In front of a counter on the 70th floor of the Merit Tower, Song Kai stopped in his tracks. In front of him, inside this counter, there was a component that radiated a burning orange light. An orange shipborne secondary cannon. Shadowbreaker Cannon LV0. Quality: Orange feature. Shadow Demon Breaking feature 2. Secondary cannon might increased by 45%. Consumption: 5 shot. Spectral energy points. Might: 6.2. No need for buffer and charge up rank requirement. 10 strands of floating land origin. 0 rank. 1000 spectral energy points. 10 kilograms of shadow stone. Shadow Demon Breaking. The secondary cannon has a 1% chance to trigger the demon breaking effect with each attack, temporarily weakening the enemy unit's surface energy shield by 1% of the current shield value, with the same energy shield being weakened by up to 10% of the highest shield value. At first glance, a 1% chance seemed pitifully low, but upon further consideration, it wasn't quite so. First of all, these were just the attributes at LV0, and once the enhancement level went up, the numbers would inevitably increase significantly. Secondly, don't forget this was a secondary cannon with no buffer time limit. Under continuous fire, the chance of triggering was actually not as low as one might imagine. He glanced down at the exchange price: 110 golden merit points. After a brief consideration, Song Kai decided to make the exchange, as Kang Chong had been promoted to 2nd rank for 2 years, and of the 4 secondary cannons, only 2 were currently mounted, indeed looking a bit shabby. Of course, before exchanging, Song Kai didn't forget to try to go to the 71st floor, but the outcome was clear. Even though he had more than 200 golden merit points in his account, he was still stopped. To continue to the 71st floor, it required more than 500 golden merit points. Knowing this, Song Kai instantly lost interest, as 500 golden merit points was an amount he couldn't gather in a short time. Although there were still more than a dozen corpses in that ancient battlefield of the stars, comparable to the peak of 4th rank, it was not simple for Kang Chong to go and collect them, as a number of safe routes had to be established in advance, and this wasn't something that could be accomplished overnight. Even though he had already commanded that half-step 4th rank humanoid alien race to continue exploring for safe routes, and now a large number of humanoid alien races were exploring with creatures from the asteroid belts, it was estimated that it would take at least 2 years to fully open over a dozen safe routes. After all, the furthest corpse of 10,000 meters was nearly 100,000 kilometers from the spatial wormhole exit. Without giving it any more thought, after exchanging for the Shadowbreaker cannon, Song Kai didn't linger and left the Merit Tower, heading straight back to Green Moon Manor. With only 7 days left to him, he had no time to waste. In the free stall area of the Ruins Market, inside Kangchong. After mounting the Shadow Breaker cannon, he immediately began to enhance it. On the way, it cost him hundreds of 0 rank, 1st rank, and 2nd rank floating land origins, plus 120 titanium crystals to enhance this orange secondary cannon to LV30. As he already had over 6 figures of 2nd rank floating land origins, Song Qi's enhancement of up to the 3rd rank was without any delay. After pondering for a dozen seconds, he still decided to continue enhancing. Using hundreds of 3rd rank floating land origins plus 420 titanium crystals plus 2 strands of 4th rank floating land origins plus 1 law stone, this component was finally enhanced to LV40. As for its attributes, Song Kai only cared about its Shadow Breaker feature. Shadow Breaker. The secondary cannon has a 20% chance with each attack to trigger the demon breaking effect, temporarily weakening the enemy unit's surface energy shield by 10% of its current shield value, with a maximum of 50% of the highest shield value for the same energy shield. As expected, with the enhancement to LV40, the effect of this feature had indeed become very significant. As long as his luck wasn't too bad, he could essentially reduce the enemy unit's shield value by 10% every 5 shots, and when fully triggered, the enemy unit's energy shield would forever only have half of its shield value in the face of Kangchong. This effect might not be top-ranked, but it definitely couldn't be considered weak, and Song Kai was sufficiently satisfied. He didn't linger too much on this, but instead turned his attention to the electromagnetic ray cannon component. This blue secondary cannon was the first secondary cannon on Kangchong and the main contributing component during the initial exploration of the Buluo civilization ruins. Although it's now somewhat lagging behind the pace of Kangchong, since it doesn't require titanium crystals, and with Song Kai currently having an ample supply of 3rd rank floating land origins, plus having the Tri-Eye solidifying ring component when replacing it in the future, there is no need to waste enhancement resources. So he directly brought it to the blue component's limit, LV39. As for the Cold Light Heavenly Frost Cannon, since it required titanium crystals, Song Kai decided not to proceed after thinking about it, as 2,000 titanium crystals, though seemingly a lot, really can't withstand several rounds of consumption during the enhancement of 3rd and 4th rank components. His gaze shifted from the secondary cannon components to the Totem Spirit Column component. This component, currently at enhancement level LV30, couldn't affect 4th rank creatures, which made Song Kai, who had a 4th rank Void Demon enslaved, far from satisfied. The Void Demon's own attack capability was extremely formidable, and if it could further gain the enhancement of the Totem Pattern and the Totem True Body, its combat power would surge tremendously once again. So, like with the Shadow Breaker cannon, before, he spent hundreds of strands of 3rd rank floating land origin plus 420 titanium crystals plus 2 strands of 4th rank floating land origin plus 1 law stone, and it was also enhanced to LV40. After reaching LV40, the component's faith pool rose to 300,000, and Song Kai also converted the 4th rank Void Demon into a worshipper of the Cold Moon Snow Python, successfully engraving the totem pattern onto it. In the future, as long as it's within the coverage of the Totem Spirit Column, it can actively activate the Totem Pattern or Totem True Body's ability, further boosting its combat power, akin to having an additional burst capability. However, aside from this, Song Kai discovered something. With the Totem Spirit Column enhanced to the 4th rank and a contract established with an official 4th rank worshipper, the Cold Moon Snow Python, a half-step 4th rank Totem Spirit Beast, seemed to have undergone some unknown changes. Hiss hiss hiss. By his shoulder, the mini-formed white little snake kept hissing, with a continuous sound coming from its mouth. Sensing its restlessness, Song Kai took the initiative to inquire through a mind sound transmission. What's wrong? Hiss hiss hiss. The Cold Moon Snow Python still sent across hissing sounds, but this time it was through the Bridge of the Mind feature's transmission, and Song Kai understood its meaning. Are you about to advance? Gleefully, this news was quite delightful. Dozens of seconds later, his expression returned to calm. As a creature that could touch the 4th rank level just on a piece of 3rd rank floating land, Song Kai had never had any doubt about the potential of its bloodline, so he was somewhat prepared for this advancement. But after calming down, Song Kai frowned again. He was of course happy about the prospect of his enslaved creatures advancing to the 4th rank, but now there was an obvious conflict in timing. In 7 days, he needed to hurry to the Evil Buddha continent, and clearly 7 days was not enough for a 3rd rank creature to complete its transformation to the 4th rank. For a moment, Song Kai felt a headache coming on. After thinking for a while, he finally decided to use mind sound transmission to force the Cold Moon Snow Python to suppress its impulse to advance. He now had 2 choices. First, let the Cold Moon Snow Python stay in Dragonspine continent and report to his family to occupy a 4th rank source eruption eye and attempt to break through to the 4th rank on its own later. Second, stop its current impulse to advance and wait until after his trip to the Evil Buddha continent was over. The outcome of the first choice was Cleara without the Totem Spirit Beast. The Totem Spirit Column component would naturally fall into a state of temporary disuse, and for the upcoming mission on the Evil Buddha continent, he could no longer count on this component. The second choice, though a waste of an opportunity to advance in the short term, was not a major concern. With the innate gift of the Cold Moon Snow Python and the resources at Song Chi's disposal, the chance for it to advance again later would certainly not be small. After careful consideration, Song Kai chose to suppress the current impulse to advance and decided to revisit the matter after his journey to the Evil Buddha continent was complete. Having enhanced the Totem Spirit Column, the next component to strengthen was the Silver 3 Generation Superwave Magic Energy Detection Radar. This orange radar was currently at LV-39, which had always been a bit of an annoyance for Song Kai. As the eyes of a torch warship, its importance was self-explanatory. How could its enhancement level fall behind other fundamental components? A flash of light passed by, and this component was officially enhanced to the 4th rank, with a significant increase in attributes. P.S. To avoid accusations of padding the story, I won't list the data. With each of these components now strengthened one by one, other resources were manageable, but only about 1,000 pieces of titanium crystal remained. At least 600 of those needed to be reserved for potential high-quality spiritual protection components that may be acquired later, leaving not much to use. Thinking it over, Song Kai considered the Plasma Guardian, which was, after all, an individual shield capable of saving lives. Every time he recalled or left Kongchong, he would reinforce himself with one, but having it at the 3rd rank was too low. Upgrading to the 4th rank would be safer. Soon, another 265 pieces of titanium crystal, 1 strand of 4th rank floating land origin, 1 law stone, and several hundred strands of 3rd rank floating land origin were used, and this component was enhanced to LV-40. It could now generate a shield count of 50-50, while the shield value of the plasma shield increased from the previous 306,000 to 3,230,000 points. Satisfied with such a shield value, Song Kai calculated that even if hit head-on by a 4th rank warship's main cannon of purple quality, this individual shield would not instantly shatter, giving him a moment to react and enter the ruins market. Phew! With the enhancement of this component finished, it also signified the end of this round of strengthening for the Kongchong. Song Kai retracted the Kongchong and stepped in front of the fixed-point launch pad at the side of the ruins market. During the previous month's journey to the Blood Bodhi floating land, in order not to waste time collecting Blood Bodhi, he had not opened ruins market trades. Now, however, he could not delay any longer. He was still hoping to obtain the spiritual protection component he wanted from Luofu Sword Sect, which was backing Zhou Ping. As for the trade item, naturally, it was that 100,000-year Thunderstruck wood. The LV-27 fixed-point launch pad was quickly activated, and soon after, nearly 100 void portals materialized at the entrance of the ruins market, awaiting discovery and entry by the Starry Sea alien race. On the 2nd floor of the inn, Goblin Luke, who had been impatiently waiting for the trade in the ruins market that continued for nearly 20 days, rushed out of his room and hurried to the mineral resource exchange shop, eager to carry out a new trade of 2 million terrastones. Indeed, as the trading time between the two sides gradually extended, the Viscount's mansion behind him also quietly expanded, enlarging the sales channels, with the monthly purchase volume gradually increasing. Over just more than 2 years, it had grown from a monthly entry of 500,000 to the current figure of 2 million. And from this single trade alone, Song Kai and the 10th direct vein behind him could profit nearly 1 million strands of zero-rank floating land origin, truly the benefit of transdimensional trade. Compared to the bustling Goblin Luke, Zhou Ping, who had reached the initial peak of the Foundation establishment, appeared much more tranquil. How does the saying go? He had a few traces of transcendence, an aura of an immortal free from worldly attachments. However, this was only until he hadn't stepped into the newly opened sundry shop by Song Kai. Shortly after entering the shop, which displayed a wide variety of goods, Zhou Ping's eyes were fixed on several items at the most conspicuous part of the store. They were the 10,000-year-old thunderstruck wood and the 10,000-year-old spirit grass, among a few others he had recently obtained from the Divine Palace's treasury. Perhaps knowing that he couldn't hide his change in expression from the formidable existence behind the ruins market, Zhou Ping didn't bother to conceal it and quickly inquired. "Sir, how may I exchange for this 10,000-year-old thunderstruck wood?" The projection screen in the middle of the shop rapidly changed, eventually forming a line of text. "Exchange for goods, preference for strange objects that protect the divine soul." Upon seeing this line, Zhou Ping stirred the mana within his body to open his waist-hanging storage bag, sending his divine sense into it to swiftly rummage through its contents. After a while, his expression darkened. Among the various items prepared by the Luofu sword sect this time, none were the required divine soul protective strange objects. He remained silent for quite some time, organizing his thoughts before speaking again. "Sir, I do not have the appropriate items with me this time. I wonder if it would be possible to reserve this piece of thunderstruck wood for now. When the exchange resumes next month, I will surely bring a suitable divine soul protective strange object." Naturally, Song Kai wouldn't agree. He couldn't wait a month, as his departure to the evil Buddha continent was in just 7 days. After pondering for a moment, the text on the projection screen changed again. "No need for such trouble. Lend this ruins market walking rank for your use." As the text appeared, a flash of silver-white brilliance streaked before Zhou Ping, and without perceiving any spatial fluctuations, the ruins market walking rank seemingly manifested out of thin air before him. Ripples of astonishment flitted through his eyes, and Zhou Ping's heart was anything but calm. He had long coveted the ruins market walking rank, but had never been able to possess it. Who would have thought that he would stumble upon it today, by such fortuitous coincidence? Even if it was to be retrieved immediately after this use, it was still thrilling for him. After all, this ruins market walking rank was far more powerful compared to the ruins market guest token. Yet he was also shrewd, not leaving hastily. Instead, he stayed in the ruins market for several hours. After the number of alien race members in the market surpassed 2,000 and he had meticulously recorded the most popular ores, spirit grass, and other resources, he then returned to the ruins market guest rooms and voluntarily exited the market. Primordial Continent, Luofu Realm, Luofu Sword Sect. Almost 3 years ago, the Luofu Sword Sect reversed its decline that had set in after the seclusion of the highest elders. They began to refine a variety of rare elixirs, which had become rare due to the near extinction of the necessary spirit grass and materials, thus attracting many customers. First came the individual cultivators and then the disciples and elders of the great sects came to purchase elixirs in succession. As a result, the sect's nearly bankrupt finances gradually stabilized, and as time went on, the sect also saw steady improvements in artifact refining and ore sales. This spurred on the prosperity of the sect and captured the attention of many immortal cultivation sects across the primordial continent. Today, at Luofu Sword Sect's Heavy Sword Peak, in the area of the True Disciples' cave dwellings. With a fluctuation of an enchantment, Zhou Ping, who was at the initial peak of the Foundation establishment, stepped out from a cave dwelling. This anomaly immediately attracted the high attention of several core elders of Heavy Sword Peak. As mana surged around them, Zhou Ping felt a breeze pass by, and 3 elders with white hair and beards appeared before him. Peak Master, Elders. Before Zhou Ping could finish, the Peak Master of Heavy Sword Peak, an elder at the nascent soul stage from the primordial continent, spoke with a heavy tone. What happened? It's been less than 5 hours. Did something happen at the Zutian Ruins Market? Seeing that both the Peak Master and the 2 elders looked eager, Zhou Ping didn't dare to be complacent and quickly explained the situation. 10,000-year-old thunderstruck wood, really? The gleam in the Peak Master of Heavy Sword Peak's eyes flickered. If it was indeed the 10,000-year-old thunderstruck wood, as long as the Sword Sect Master refined it carefully for 100 years, it could become a powerful spiritual treasure. With a longer period of refinement and the addition of other rare materials, it might even evolve into a divine tool. Seeing Zhou Ping nod his head solemnly, not seeming to be deceiving, the Peak Master of Heavy Sword Peak waved his hand, and the scenery before everyone changed. In an instant, they had arrived inside the sect main hall. In the sect's blessed land behind the main hall, sensing the change, the Luofu Sword Sect Master, who was at the divinity transformation stage, quietly appeared. Upon seeing Zhou Ping, the sect master's expression mirrored that of the elders from Heavy Sword Peak earlier. However, after hearing the explanation from the Peak Master of Heavy Sword Peak, he nodded lightly, then his expression became serious again. Divine Soul Protective Heaven and Earth Treasures. That could be troublesome. Divine Soul Protective Treasures were not that difficult. As a 5th-rank artifact refiner and with the profound artifact refining heritage of the Luofu Sword Sect, he could refine 2 types of them. However, Heaven and Earth Treasures were rare, and even a divinity transformation sect like the Luofu Sword Sect might not have them in their treasury. Let's go and take a look together. Hopefully, there's something suitable in the treasury. With that, all 5 disappeared from the sect main hall. A few minutes later, when they reappeared, they already had 3 items in their hands. One of these 3 items emitted a purple light, while the other 2 glowed with an orange hue. A few people exchanged glances, and then the sect master spoke. 100,000-year-old thunderstruck wood. The purple quality of Heaven and Earth Treasures is probably not enough. Zhou Ping, you should take these 2 orange quality treasures back to the Ruins Market and see if either can catch the eye of the Ruins Market Lord. Yes, Sect Master. In the midst of the Ruins Market, just as Song Kai was getting a little anxious, Zhou Ping finally walked out from the 3rd floor of the inn. Returning to the general store, he did not dawdle. With a slap on his storage bag, an object emitting a thick orange glow appeared in his hand. Outside, in front of a stall in the free trading area, Song Kai, disguised as a humanoid alien race, murmured to himself. As expected of a 5th-rank Taoist sect, a divinity transformation sect, to offer an orange-quality divine soul defense strange object. Muttering to himself, his heart was filled with excitement. Having an orange-quality spiritual defense component would make his upcoming journey to the evil Buddha continent much safer. However, when the power of laws enveloped the starry sea strange object, a chill settled in his heart. Strange object. Soul calming stone, quality, orange. Convertible. No. Note. A strange mineral stone bred in the unique environment of the primordial continent, it has a singular purpose. It can't be transformed into ship components. The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. At this moment, one could imagine the frustration in Song Chi's heart. He had thought he would acquire something that could ensure a safe journey on the evil Buddha continent, but in the end, it was all for naught. Does not meet the requirements. After a brief reply, the power of laws in the shop circulated, preparing to retrieve the Ruins Market walking command from Zhou Ping's hand. But at that moment, he swiftly took out another object glowing with orange light. Compared to the first soul-calming stone, This second orange light-emitting strange object was larger, more like a special stone pier. Once Song Kai sent his power of laws over to it, this time it finally gave him a huge surprise. Strange object. Soul-subduing stone eye, quality, orange. Convertible. Tai soul-suppressing steel. Note: a cornerstone of the soul-cleansing Great Formation from the primordial continent's Tai sect, which has suppressed the formation for countless years. Bathed in the baptism of the endless soul-cleansing power, it finally turned into a rare orange-quality treasure. Together with the power of laws, Song Qi's spectral energy also quickly touched the stone pier, simultaneously acquiring the attributes of the corresponding ship component. Tai Soul Suppressing Steel LV0 Quality, Orange Feature, Soul Subduing Steel. Feature 2. Soul Sealing Mark Consumption, 10 per second, Spectral Energy Points. Effect. Once equipped, it will automatically generate a soul-sealing aura inside the starship that corresponds to the enhancement rank, capable of defending against most methods aimed at divine souls, spiritual, soul. Up rank requirement. 10 wisps of 0 rank floating land origin, 1000 spectral energy points, 10 kilograms soul crystal. Soul subduing steel. Upon being installed on the warship, a phantom soul-subduing steel will automatically condense within the captain's ancestral torch, possessing the ability to protect the spiritual mind and resist external spiritual attacks. Soul Sealing Mark. Consumes 2000 spectral energy points, allows the user to cast a soul sealing mark on a designated target within a 3-meter range, sealing the target's spirit and mildly affecting their reaction speed. Without a doubt, the Tai Soul Suppressing Steel was exactly what Song Kai had been looking for. However, its second feature seemed somewhat superfluous. In an era of starship duels, what was the point of a 3-meter range? Moreover, he estimated that the growth value of this feature wouldn't be high, given its already evident starting point. Song Kai couldn't help but feel some regret. If this second feature had been a bit better, the component would have undoubtedly been top ranked, but he didn't reject it. After all, the chances of finding another orange-quality spiritual mind defense component in the short term were slim to none, and more importantly, compared to the second feature, the first feature was excellent, absolutely a top-rank feature. Originally, the effect of the Tai soul-suppressing steel was limited in scope, only working within the warship. Once the warship was recalled, or if one strayed too far from it, the captain would no longer enjoy the effects of the Divine Soul Guard. However, this first feature had nothing to do with proximity. As long as he remained the owner of Kang Chong, the phantom soul-subduing steel left in his mind by the other party would never vanish. Combined with the Seed of Torch's enhancement, this protective effect would be far superior than the ordinary. To this, although Song Kai inwardly agreed, he did not give a clear response. As an avid reader of novels in his previous life, he knew well how crucial Thunderstruck Wood is in Taoist and immortal sects, let alone those aged for a terrifying 100,000 years. Therefore, his reply was brief. Not enough. Those 2 words conveyed a lot. Most importantly, that while the Soulstone Eye met his requirements, it wasn't valuable enough. To put it simply, the price had to be raised. As for this, the Luofu Sword sect had already made preparations. Zhou Ping quickly took out a large black cloth bag from his storage bag. Compared to the usual bags that held 50 titanium crystals, this bag was clearly much more bulging. When the power of laws swept over it, Song Qi's eyes brightened slightly. 1,000 titanium crystals. My lord, what do you think of 1,000 titanium crystals plus this Soul Stone Eye? Song Kai was silent for a moment before he controlled the projection screen to reply. Acceptable. In addition to that, Zhou Ping also exchanged for the 10,000-year-old wooden spirit flower and the 1,000-year-old vermilion fruit. This time, he did not use titanium crystals nor starry sea oddities, but what was known as spiritual mechanism in the primordial continent and floating land origin in the shattered starry sea. 100 threads of 3rd rank floating land origin plus 5 threads of 4th rank floating land origin. After the continuous exchanges of the 3 items, Song Kai, watching from a god's perspective, had an epiphany. A brand new channel for trading suddenly sprung up in his mind. From the choices Zhou Ping made, Song Kai deduced that the primordial continent was nearly identical to the novels he had read in his past life. They urgently needed all sorts of spirit grass and spirit fruits to concoct various miraculous elixirs. Even though 99.9% of these elixirs could only be consumed by them, ineffective for outsiders, this did not impede their demand for various kinds of spirit grass. And this was the new trading channel Song Kai mentioned. Ordinary elixirs could not be resold, but the various spirit grasses and spirit fruits they needed were completely unrestricted. How vast was Dragon Spine Continent with its countless flora? And how many medium-low-level floating lands were under the control of the Song family? If he could truly cultivate and collect the spirit grass and spirit fruits that were extremely scarce in the primordial continent, initiating trade with them, certainly, it would prove to be a trading channel of astonishing potential, perhaps even surpassing the monthly Terrastone deals with Goblin Luke. Goblin Luke's backing, the Viscount's mansion, had long been in decline, with limited energy behind it, hence the capacity to absorb only a certain amount of Terrastones. The Luofu sword sect, however, was a real divinity transformation sect of the 5th rank. The sect controlled an entire realm of Luofu, with energy at its disposal, sales channels, and demands that the Viscount's mansion backing Luke could never match. If this sustainable trading channel came into fruition, Song Qi's future earnings would be remarkable. And another key point was that he had recorded the spirit grasses and fruits Zhou Ping had deliberately acquired in the past. With this, he could target his collections and pricing more effectively, maximizing benefits. With this in mind, Song Kai had already decided that as soon as this trade ended, he would immediately bring this matter to the agenda. Not only within the 10th direct vein, but he also planned to list the corresponding herbs, spirit fruits, and other items for detailed purchasing in the entire Dragon Spine Continent Forum, including purchase prices, detailed catalogs, purchase restrictions, and so on. In doing so, not only would it be the 10th direct vein responding, but also the family's 10 major direct veins, the 2 great veins, the ancestral vein, and the vast numbers of collateral relatives, all of whom could potentially take up the task he posted. The family base was astonishing, and even under the best developed ancestral vein, there were those living in hardship. These people were different from those with elder support. The configurations on their ships were mediocre, and every exploration of the alien star domain was a gamble with their lives as the stakes. Compared to that, a non-dangerous material collection job that could earn ample resources was certainly what these people desperately sought. While musing, Zhou Ping had already left the general store and, just like Goblin Luke and Elon of the Star Origin Empire, he made his way into the Oddity Exchange shop, finding it difficult to walk away once inside. All the alien races who entered the Oddity Exchange shop had their eyes glued to the dazzling red and orange lights emanating from the highest curio cabinets in the shop. Red quality heaven and earth treasures, Zhou Ping's heart pounded wildly. If this were the past, when he was just a minor outer sect disciple, perhaps he would not have understood the significance of a red quality heaven and earth treasure, but now it was different. He had long been listed as a true disciple of Heavy Sword Peak, and his horizons were not what they were more than 2 years ago. Based on what he currently knew, even the Luofu sword sect, which had inherited thousands of years of history, could hardly claim to have red quality heaven and earth treasures in their possession, as such treasures were exceedingly rare. The only information he had heard about silver quality heaven and earth treasures was regarding the Taiyi Immortal Gate. In the world of cultivation, there were rumors that the Taiyi Immortal Gate possessed a legacy immortal artifact known as the Taiyi Primordial Tower. It was said that this Taiyi Primordial Tower, an unparalleled immortal artifact, was forged from a red quality heaven and earth treasure. As for the Taiyi Immortal Gate itself, it was undoubtedly the leader of the immortal way throughout the entire primordial continent. It was said that its lineage had nearly spanned 100,000 years, and the Taiyi domain it controlled was the largest domain on the whole primordial continent. Indeed, the great existence behind the Zhu Tian Ruins market is of an astonishing origin. they can procure red quality heaven and earth treasures as if it's nothing. With that thought, Zhou Ping shook his head firmly and forcibly pulled back his eager gaze before quietly leaving the oddity exchange shop. Upon returning to the third floor of the inn, to the market walking room, and taking advantage of the fact that the ruins market walking rank had not yet been reclaimed, he hurriedly left the ruins market eager to report back to the sect's higher-ups. In the free stall area, Song Qi's lips curved slightly upward as he witnessed the whole scene. The red and orange oddities in the oddity exchange shop were none other than the spatial attribute law crystal and metal attribute law crystal that he had just acquired. Was he really intending to sell them? Of course not. The reason for showcasing these two law crystals was actually to further elevate the mystique and power associated with his position as the ruins market lord. In simpler terms, it was to enhance the prestige of himself, as well as that of the ruins market. Just imagine, what kind of strength would an individual capable of casually putting forward red curios for exchange possess? But that was just it. Naturally, Song Kai had no intention of actually trading away the two law crystals. More so, he used them as a promotional tool to enhance the reputation and the quality of the trades at the Zutian ruins market. The actions of someone like Zhou Ping fit perfectly into his plan. Time passed quickly, and after Zhou Ping, there were no further incidents. Song Kai continued to acquire storage capsules from Elon, and the number he had stockpiled had already surpassed 6 figures, but he still had no intention of selling them. According to his plan, he would reveal this potentially lucrative product only after successfully securing a family ranking position and after the Furious Lion had been successfully upgraded to a Zhulu warship, lowering the likelihood of family inquiry. After all, both the identities of a family ranking and a direct grandchild of a 4th-rank clan elder were not to be taken lightly. Tens of hours later, the trading session at the ruins market came to an end. He had planned to summon the Kang Chong immediately to quickly load the component of the Tai soul-suppressing steel, but suddenly, Song Qi's attention was drawn to the ruins market secret realm beneath his feet. To think it meets the conditions to upgrade to LV-28. Song Kai was pleasantly surprised. A significant amount of time had passed since the ruins market had upgraded from the 1st rank, and the difficulty of leveling up had clearly increased considerably from the 1st rank, which had left him, who had been particularly looking forward to the changes after the 3rd rank, feeling helpless. But now, if the ruins market was upgraded to LV-28, it meant that after just one more level, the ruins market could attempt to advance to the 3rd rank. With this in mind, Song Kai was certainly excited. Compared to enhancing the components of the Kang Chong, a great rank advancement of the ruins market was clearly more important. Apart from its direct relation to his own practice of the guidance technique, there was another significant reason every great rank advancement of the ruins market led to major changes. He remembered that when he had gone from 0 rank to the 1st rank, he gained 2 new abilities: the ruins market guest token and the spatial anchor point. When advancing from the 1st rank to the 2nd rank, it was the ruins market walking rank and the spirit mechanism synthesis platform that he acquired. Now that I think about it, which of these 4 new abilities isn't profoundly astonishing? This is why Song Kai has always had great expectations for the ruins market's upgrade to 3rd rank. I hope I can be promoted soon. He casually enhanced the ruins market itself as well as the all attributes cultivation room, ultra long distance space gate random deployment platform, spectral energy protective array, to LV-28 and then returned to the free trading area. He recalled the Kang Chong. 2 minutes later, the orange quality, Tai soul suppressing steel component had been strengthened all the way to LV-40. Looking at the attributes, the soul sealing aura it emanated had officially reached the 4th rank level, and the soul subduing steel feature that could be condensed within the ancestral torch was also at the 4th rank, strong enough to resist attacks and invasions by 4th rank level divine souls. Beyond that was the soul sealing mark feature. After being strengthened to the 4th rank, its effective range increased from 3 meters to 300 meters, which is still negligible for starry space warfare, but it was a significant improvement from before, albeit a small consolation. He originally thought of further enhancing this component, but after checking his remaining titanium crystals, he decided to stop. Even though he still had just over 1,000 titanium crystals, including the 1,000 Zhou Ping had given him earlier, the problem was that the light energy aggregation engine component still needed further enhancement. In order to meet the energy supply balance requirements of the Kangchong, this component had already been enhanced to LV-44. However, with the Silver 3 generation Superwave Magical Energy Detection Radar component enhanced to the 4th rank and the previous Tai Soul Suppressing Steel, the current energy supply was once again insufficient, so he had no choice but to continue strengthening the Orange Engine component. Since he still had enough 4th rank floating land origin and law stones for the time being, Song Kai simply enhanced the light energy aggregation engine to the highest level that the ship's structure could reach, which was LV-49. After enhancing it to LV-49, it goes without saying that the component's energy supply efficiency significantly increased, and there was no need to worry about the warship's energy supply for the time being. However, Song Kai didn't feel too much joy over this because the current energy surplus was based on the premise of not adding any new high-rank components. That meant if he were to acquire high-quality, energy-consuming ship components in the future, he would not be able to install them at will, and even if he did install them, they couldn't be enhanced to a high level. Otherwise, the Kangchong would face an energy supply shortage. Thinking of this, Song Kai frowned deeply. I either have to speed up the Kangchong's promotion to a cruiser and my torch seed to the orange quality, or I need to accelerate the opening of Shikong 004 Cultivation Secret Realm, and allow the 6th rank Silver Apple to fully recover. With his mind quickly assessing the situation, two solutions emerged. If the Kangchong was promoted to a cruiser and his seed of torch reached orange quality, all components on the warship could continue to be enhanced to the 5th rank, thereby naturally solving the energy supply issue. Meanwhile, the large 6th rank Silver Apple could upgrade the light energy aggregation engine component from orange to red quality. By then, even if the enhancement level remained the same, the energy supply efficiency would see a substantial improvement. Song Kai rubbed his forehead, realizing that both options needed to be prioritized. Until the Kangchong becomes a cruiser, and the seed of torch is upgraded to orange quality, the Void Assassin Clan Soldier figurine tree component will not be able to be enhanced to the 5th rank. To continue delving deeper into the wreckage of the Tri-Eye race flagship, he must hasten this process. As for accelerating the Cultivation Secret Realm, it is a free speed up with a fixed cooldown time. The sooner it's used, the sooner the cooldown. Every additional day of delay is simply a waste of time. The acceleration of the Dragon Blood Mystic Realm is about to end, so he would soon be able to start this second task. He checked his resources. He had less than 700 titanium crystals left, just over 100 strands of 4th rank floating land origin, and exactly 25 law stones remaining. After some thought, for the sake of caution, Song Kai enhanced the Tai Soul Suppressing Steel a few more times, strengthening it to LV-44. Although the aura and the condensed steel remained at the 4th rank, there are differences within the same rank. After reaching LV-44, the Soul Sealing Aura and the Phantom Soul Subduing Steel were capable of withstanding the influence of all ordinary 4th rank level Divine Souls. Unless faced with an attack by a peak 4th rank Divine Soul, it would be tough for them to harm him. At the Green Moon Manor, in the compound designated for his uncle and aunt, Song Kai met his aunt once again. He had initially planned to utilize the Blood Bodhi and Divine Tempering Fruits as soon as possible in the coming days, but considering the hundreds of thousands of low-rank Blood Bodhis he carried, he felt it was better to hand them over to the Ancestral Vein first. Upon receiving the small mountain of Blood Bodhis, Zhao Hongshui did not show much surprise. Song Kai had a habit of making such grand offerings from time to time, and she had grown accustomed to it. But it was not a gift for nothing. After all, these were contributions to the Ancestral Vein, which belonged to the public assets. Although the Ancestral Vein had nothing to compensate at the moment, the contribution points that should be recorded were not omitted. For instance, the several hundred titanium crystals that Song Kai had withdrawn from the public assets were deducted from his contributions. Looking at the several million additional contribution points he now had, Song Kai was not particularly concerned. The ancestral vein was just starting to flourish, and with many items already taken for the upgrade of the Furious Lion, the common secret vault didn't hold many valuable items at present. Song Kai estimated that his millions in contribution points would be difficult to spend anytime soon. Nevertheless, he decided to take a stroll through the secret vault, and to his small delight, found something useful. Within the vault, he actually discovered a palm-sized piece of Heavenly Ridge crystal, one of the 4 special resources possibly needed for the upgrade of an escort ship to a cruiser, and a rather rare one at that, unseen even in the family merit hall. Song Kai immediately exchanged it for 30,000 contribution points. With this piece of Heavenly Ridge crystal, 2 of the 4 special resources potentially required for the Kang Chong's upgrade to a cruiser had been gathered at the Heavenly Ridge crystal and the 10,000 years volcanic magma iron essence. The 2 remaining were the Ice Origin Stone and the 3rd rank Blood Core. Song Kai had long been purchasing these remaining items at the Ruins Market, yet without any result thus far. The 3rd rank Blood Core was not too difficult. It was a crystal that might form inside the body of life entities following the path of blood. It was said that the ancestral vein controlled a blood continent, where the ruling race was the famous bloodline of vampires. If he reached out to the ancestral vein, there would be a chance to obtain it. However, the Ice Origin Stone was different. It could only be found in special extreme cold continents and was considered exceedingly rare. After leaving his uncle's compound, Song Kai returned home. He didn't worry too much about the Ice Origin Stone. Though rare, it wasn't to the extent of being encountered only once in 100 years. He just needed to continue raising the stakes in the market transactions to acquire it, which shouldn't be a big problem. At this moment, the most important thing was to make use of the blood bodhi and the 2 divine tempering fruits that had been in his possession for a while. The consumption of blood bodhi was straightforward. One simply needed to swallow it. The fruit would melt in the mouth, sweet with a hint of sweetness. Song Kai, being a 2nd rank life form, could only use 2nd rank blood bodhi. The moment the first blood bodhi entered his mouth, it was like he had drunk a sip of natural spring water with a hint of sweetness. However, that was only the initial sensation. Soon, Song Kai found that his blood seemed to boil. Within just half a minute, the temperature of his body had doubled. This condition lasted for about 2 minutes. As the boiling feeling subsided, Song Kai returned to his normal state and took the 2nd blood bodhi. After consuming 5 consecutive blood bodhis, Song Kai began to feel a swelling pain all over his body, and a thick layer of black viscous substance had accumulated on his skin. His intuition told him that this was the limit his body could endure. Continuing to consume blood bodhis would be more harmful than beneficial. While there was a sense of anticlimax, Song Kai, the person concerned, had a different sensation. Despite only consuming 5 blood bodhis, he could clearly feel an all-around enhancement in his body. It was an indescribable sensation. In essence, it was as if he had changed his body entirely. If before consuming the 5 blood bodhis his body was that of a 50-year-old middle-aged person, now, Song Kai felt as if he had returned to the prime of his life at 30, when his body was at its peak. Of course, this was a comparison to an ordinary person from his previous life on Blue Star. Is this the physical prowess possessed by an excellent species of the Starry Sea? Indeed, it's much stronger than that of ordinary species, he muttered to himself. After a brief wash to clean his body, Song Kai quickly returned to the Ruins Market. He wanted to try practicing the spectral energy guidance technique to see what changes it would bring.